So as I said, Blackboard's not required, but there are some useful things out there. You guys know how to get into it. You'll see this Math 355 out there. If you click on it, this is what you'll see. All the useful stuff for you is just under this button, course information. Your grades, by the way, will not be on Blackboard. Your grades are actually posted in another software. It's where you go to register for classes called MyWITC. So if you go to that and you get to your class list, there should be actually a little icon next to this class where you can see your grade book. So right now, if you click on course information in Blackboard, you'll see my contact information. My name's Todd Hoff, by the way. You can all call me Todd. We're adults, so I don't need any titles. The best way to get in touch with me is email. So right there, todd.hoff@witc.edu. I check my email at least once or twice a day, if not more. So that's the quickest way to get in touch with me. If you can't get to email, you can call. Actually, this is just the Rice Lake campus number, but you can actually call any campus or the 800 number and dial this extension, and it'll get you to my voicemail. And I've got it set up now so it'll send me a notice here that I have a voicemail. I do not go to my office very often. I mean, maybe a couple times a week to make sure there are no packages there. And that's about it. So if you're ever looking for me, look for me in this room. Don't go up to the offices because chances are you won't find me. I mentioned that the classes are recorded. Right now, obviously, this is the first class. So there are no recordings, but after today, the links to the recordings will appear down below here. And actually here, I think I've got a class from this summer I can show you. So like this was my class from this summer. You can see here syllabus, my information and stuff. And these are the links to the recordings. Sometimes you can click on them and they work. Most of the time, it's easiest to just copy and paste them into a new browser. And it'll take you to a nice little video. I've got my sound shut off right now, but I don't get a cut of those ads, unfortunately. And so then you can see what it is. It's just whatever appears up on the screen with my voice laid over the top of it is what the videos will be. If you decide, you know, to invite friends over and watch them at home, I get half of whatever you charge at the door. Okay, so back to here. So that's where the links to those recordings will occur, is down below all this. I'm going to pull up my schedule here quick. Obviously, this is my first class of the day, Tuesday through Friday. And we have the 1 hour Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and we have the 2 hour class on Friday. I have a class immediately after this one, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. But if you need help with anything, I'm usually here 10 or 15 minutes early. I cut it a little close today, but usually I'm here early if you need some help. Otherwise, on Friday, I do have an open hour after this class. And then you can see from 9:30 to noon every day, I have a big gap. If you guys have any time or openings, usually I know Richard's really good about letting you out of the shop if you need to come down and ask questions. Like I said, you can almost always find me in here. Or I might be in the room next door if there's another class in here. Or if none of those times work, let me know and we can usually find a time that'll work out for you. Okay, let's finish off the administrative stuff. I'm sure you saw enough syllabi yesterday to get sick of them. So that's just my contact information again. You guys are here so you know where and when the class is, so I don't need to go over that. Course description, and actually more telling than the course description is this right here, the list of the competencies. This is a basic arithmetic and algebra course, a little bit of geometry. So we start off with our operations with fractions, decimals, whole numbers, conversions between fractions and decimals, percents, ratios. We spend a lot of time on measurement and converting units of measure, calculating with measurements, basic areas and volumes. And then we get into some algebra, solving equations, some simple systems of equations, and things like that. So it's a lot of stuff kind of wrapped into one class. Now, with that said, there may be several of you, especially if you're right out of high school, looking at that list thinking, I've had all that and I know how to do all that. This class might be a lot of repeat for you. If you're pretty confident in your abilities on these topics, come and talk to me. There is a test out process. It's a 3-credit class, so it costs you $60 to attempt the test out. And I believe the test out has to be done by noon on Friday. If you pass the test out, which would be an 80% or better on the test, you get your money back for the class, which 3 credits, so this is like $420 or $450, and you get credit for the class. If you don't get 80%, you lose your $60 and you're stuck back in here with me. So I mean, $60 is a considerable amount of money. So if you're thinking about doing it, come talk to me and I'll help you study. Make sure you know what topics you need. In the past, the success rate has been a little low. It's about 30%, so about 3 out of 10, a little bit less than 1 out of 3. And the main reason for that is people look at these topics and think, oh, I got it, so they go down and take the test and they don't study or prepare for it at all. So I know I've had a lot of students say, oh, if I had just looked at a couple of things, I would have made it on that. Okay, so like I said, if you're thinking about that, come talk to me and I'll help you figure out whether you're really ready or not. Textbook. You guys should have a bundle. Yours should include this big textbook with this little one wrapped with it.
I'm still waiting to get mine.
Okay. Did they come wrapped together? Or?
Yeah.
Okay, they did. Okay, good. I was making sure because last week.
Purple book, but it's
Yeah.
a small book.
Okay, it might have changed this year.
Yeah.
So, that little book is basically our homework sets. It talks a little bit more in the machining language rather than generic math, so it helps make a little bit more sense for you. It's really a nice book, and they give you a discount when you bundle them together, so that little book only costs like $15 more to get that along with the big book. The next thing is a calculator. It's not required, but is extremely highly recommended. I know these days a lot of people like to use their cell phones as a calculator, which I don't disallow that. I don't have any problem with that. But most of your cell phone calculators are lacking in a couple of areas. The biggest one is most of them do not do fractions. I've seen 1 or 2 cell phone apps that you can download that do have a fraction calculator capability. But for the most part, I haven't seen any that work really well. So if you have a calculator, a scientific calculator, chances are it's good enough for this class. If you don't have one, the one I usually recommend is the Texas Instruments TI-30. I don't know if I have one in here or not. Let me take a
Would they have that over at the bookstore?
Our bookstore here does not have one. Because I've got an older version of it, but I don't want to show you that. If you
go buy Office Max or
usually Walmart, Office Max, Shopco, they should all have it. Yeah, they should. Get the 2-line display. There's one that's kind of white and blue. Stay away from that one. But there's one that's just like a dark gray or a black that's got a 2-line display on it. That's the one you want. That's the one that works best. There's also the single-line display one that does most of what you need, but there are some of the longer formulas that you have to enter in 2 pieces because it has a limit to how many characters you can enter in it. But all of those work really well. Like I said, the Texas Instruments is probably the simplest to use. Casio and Sharp and those have calculators out there that do everything as well. They're just a little bit more complicated to use. They might be a couple bucks cheaper, but a few more keystrokes. Whatever you have, if you already have one, like I said, chances are it's good enough. If you have any questions on what you have, come show it to me and I'll let you know if it's adequate or not. Okay, grading, the important part, right? 80% of your grade in this class is on unit tests and quizzes. The unit tests are announced. There are 4 unit tests throughout the semester in this class. Quizzes will come anywhere from every 2 to 4 hours of class. And I'll explain why that happens in a couple minutes. Your unit tests are 100 points. Quizzes are anywhere from 8 to 20 points each. The other 20% of your grade is on homework and class participation. Now, homework, I very, very, very seldom will collect your homework and grade it. There's two reasons for that. One is I have like 135 students this semester. There's no way I could collect your homework daily and grade it. Second, you're adults. And my theory of homework is it's your tool to learn what you need to. It's not something for me to grade. So especially the first few weeks, there are going to be some topics that many of you have seen before, are good at, and really don't need to practice. I don't want you sitting at home doing a bunch of problems on stuff you already know how to do. If you do the first couple and they're really, really easy, feel free to skip ahead a few or skip to the next little section of the homework and do those. I mean, I don't want you doing busy work on stuff you already know. So please feel free to do that. That's another reason why I don't grade your homework, is it's only you can decide how much homework you really need to do. So really that other 20% turns into pretty much show up for class and don't upset the teacher. You can tell I'm tough to get along with. So that's one of the reasons why I give quizzes so often, is that's my way of knowing whether you guys have it, or if I need to go back and go over something again, or if there's somebody I have to pull aside and work with a little bit more on one of the topics. So I try not to leave anybody behind. That's the standard WITC grading scale. I'm sure you guys saw that a lot yesterday. Withdrawals and dropping the class. If for some reason you do have to withdraw from the class, if you drop in the first week, you do get a refund. After that, you don't. If you drop up to the 80% point, which is somewhere in week 13, it goes on your transcript as just a withdrawal and not a failing grade. If you drop after that, it goes on your transcript as a failing grade. So if you get to the point where you're partway through the semester and there's something going on, talk to me and we'll make sure that we keep everything on track for you. College policies, that's just a statement to look at your handbook. Everything from your handbook applies in here just like it does everywhere else in the building. Academic integrity, don't cheat. That one's pretty simple. I do give a lot of assignments in here where I say, hey, go ahead if you want to work together, that's fine. On those assignments, the biggest thing is don't just blindly write down what the person you're working on is doing. Make sure you understand it, because at some point, like you guys mentioned earlier, you're going to be on the job and you may have to do some of this. Accommodations. If you have any needs, even if, whether it's a diagnosed disability, or even if maybe math just really makes you nervous and you lock up, or you struggle with tests, or you get distracted easily when you're taking tests or whatever, come and talk to me. I can put you in the room next door or find a private room for you, give you extra time. There's always unlimited time on quizzes and tests in here, by the way. So if you ever need more time, just let me know and we'll make sure we figure it out for you. My view of my job in here is to give you the tools you need to be successful in your program. It's not my job to flunk you out of your program. Now, if you force me to, I will, but I mean, I'm not trying to get you out. I'm going to do, if you guys are putting in the effort, I will do everything I can to get you through here. This is the start of my 17th year here, and in 17 years, I've only had 3 times that I've had a student that showed up to every class, did all the homework, and did not pass. 2 of them were the same students. So, chances are, if you're here and you're putting in the work, you're going to get through it. Podcasts and videos, that's just a statement out there. Like I mentioned earlier, the class is recorded. It is not posted on a secured server. They get posted right on YouTube, as you saw earlier. They're not searchable. I don't have them so the public can search them, but the public can access them. So they're not locked down. The reason for that is I do have people that come in that are like looking for test outs or whatever, and there's a topic that they need to study, and I'll give them a link to that lecture so they can study for a test out or whatever. So just so you know, you could become a celebrity if you say the wrong thing on the recording. And then that's just a list of our units in here. There's 3 major units. The third one I break up into 2 tests. That's how we get 4 unit tests. Any questions on policies? Okay. Normally I make the whole class one recording, but I'm going to separate this one